Citizen homework number 1, ESPM 1011. Why we should utilize nuclear energy more. Nuclear energy is by far the largest clean energy air source and one of the only ones that can produce large amounts of energy of electricity around the clock. As of right now, nuclear energy makes up 62.9% of all sources of emission-free electricity. Hydro makes up about 20%, solar, wind, and geothermal make about 17.1%. Nuclear energy also does not emit any greenhouse gases associated with acid rain or smog. This is because the stuff you see coming out of the top of the towers is not air pollution like many think, it was actually just water vapor condensating due to the change in temperature. This brings us to our next section that I want to talk about, misconceptions about nuclear energy. First of all, I want to talk about, really, are nuclear facilities safe? Yes. For more than half a century, commercial nuclear energy in the United States has nearly 3,500 reactor years of operation, and there have been no radiation-related health effects linked to their operation. I think just goes to show you how we see on TV and in cartoons and stuff about people being mutated and animals being mutated. Like this fish I found online. I think this is a common held belief that if you're even within the general area of a nuclear power plant, that something will get messed up. But this is not true. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the facilities and the workers that work in them. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, there is actually a smaller chance that a worker in a nuclear power plant will be injured on the job than somebody working in the fast food industry. When I looked this up, this really surprised me. Because you don't really think of the fast food industry of causing any injuries at all, and to see that the nuclear power industry is actually harming people less is actually really interesting. Alright, now let's talk about Chernobyl, something that's probably been on everybody's mind since the start of this video. Can something like Chernobyl happen in the United States? Actually, no, it can't, because Chernobyl was a RBMK reactor design. And none of the commercial nuclear energy facilities in the United States actually run like this. So they don't have the potential to cause a power spike like Chernobyl and kind of melt down. So no worries there. Alright, now let's talk about the economic benefits of nuclear power. According to a study done by the Nuclear Energy Institute, for every dollar spent by the typical nuclear power plant, creates $1.04 in the local economy, $1.18 in the state economy, and $1.87 in the U.S. economy. This just shows that you always get return on gains of anything you put into nuclear power, and that it's actually cost effective. Instead of costing us money, it's actually saving us money, and that nuclear power plants actually do pay $67 million in federal taxes annually, so they're benefiting the government as well. Alright, now let's move on to how to safely manage used nuclear fuel. So what exactly is nuclear fuel in the first place? Well, nuclear fuel is an radioactive element called uranium. And when these uranium fuel cells are used in commercial factories, they still have about 90% of the original potential energy left over. But these cells are stored at facilities that are designed to house them safely, and we'll be talking about that in the next clip. So like I've previously stated, up to 90% of the potential energy of the uranium used at these commercial factories is still left over when they're done with them. So this facilitates the need for a place to be able to house the leftover uranium safely and efficiently. This led to the construction of what you see on the picture. A lot of these storage facilities have steel-lined concrete vaults filled with water. These act as like a natural barrier for the radiation in the used fuel. The water also helps cool the fuel down so it doesn't overheat, and while it becomes less radioactive. The water itself does not actually leave the pool. and is constantly circulated to make sure the temperature is okay. And then after about 5 years of sitting in the pool, the rods can be moved into these large concrete and steel containers, whose the design must be approved by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And there it waits until the U.S. Department of Energy decides what to do with it or to send it to a disposal facility. All right, now that we've talked about the basics, some of the misconceptions, and how uranium is really used, let's compare it to some other energy resources. So, about a piece of uranium about the size of a pencil eraser contains the same amount of energy as about 17,000 cubic feet of gas, natural gas, 1,780 pounds of coal, 149 gallons of oil. Just by the efficiency of the material used, you can tell that nuclear energy is a much more sustainable option than any of these other energy sources. And finally, to wrap things up, let's talk about sustainability. So, is nuclear energy considered a renewable resource? Well, no. What a renewable resource assumes is that it has an unlimited supply of that energy source. So that could be water, the sun, or the wind. Nuclear energy uses uranium, and uranium does have a finite amount. But nuclear energy is often considered a sustainable energy source because the uranium we have right now is enough to power our fuel reactors for the next 100 years or more. That brings us to the end of my video. I hope today the information I provided you today provides a firm base for your own research into nuclear energy. I hope that you realize that it is a sustainable and viable option and that we should increase our current amount of nuclear power plants to provide cleaner, better, and more efficient energy for the United States. Thank you.